Hello all, a nice day here, bringing you a knife review. I hope you're having a good day today, and I hope that you enjoy watching this review, should you choose to stick around, which would be nice, but I certainly don't want you to stick around and have a worse day because of me. So, let's get right into it. This is the Winterblade Co. Severn, and Brian Winters is a knife magician. He's doing all kinds of crazy things, usually with magnets. Though, as far as I can tell, this one does not have any magnets in here. There's a magnet on the screw, but this one is a departure for him a little bit. Funny enough, it's also the only one of his that I have. I do like the looks of the Factor, and I wanted to try it, but that big bar in the middle, and I don't know. It just... I've never been compelled enough to get it. This one compelled me to get it because, well, look at it. The finish, the way that was whole thing, I like the ano, I love this finish on the blade. Yeah. This one basically stepped it up enough for me to say, you know what, I want to try one of these things. So I did. Let's get to specs, then we'll start talking about the knife. 3¼ inches of blade. About 7.8 inches overall, and handle, if that magnet would let go of my tape measure for a second, is about 4 5/8. Give or take a little bit there. Comparisons to our resident small knife, the Civivi Elementum, and our resident full-size knife with a good sounding click as always. The Conspirator, as you can see, this thing is kind of directly in between them, though it does favor the Conspirator a little bit more. I'm going to call this a medium-sized knife. It's not a full-size knife, it's not a small knife, but it is medium. Grip's length is, I mean, there's a ton of grip strength. You can technically get your pinky kind of wrapped around there. You got all of this as 2 AA batteries, and then you got a choil. So you probably have like 2.5 batteries of grip size, length. You're not going to have to worry about that. Thickness. It is thinner than the Conspirator, relatively thinner than the Conspirator. The Conspirator, I believe, is 520-ish thousandths, so slightly over ½ an inch. I'm pretty sure. Let's check this. Oh, dear Lord. It zeroed out. Oh, crap. Something's gonna go wrong today. I'm gonna get hit by a meteor or something. That's not supposed to happen. That's concerning. 439 thousandths on the actual handle thickness. Yeah, it's pretty thin. Under ½ an inch. 127-ish thousandths blade stock. And behind the edge, it is a full flat grind, which is nice. Means it performs pretty well, even if it's not the thinnest geometry. But, oh, that's too far down. No, that's not right. Come on. Hit where I want you to hit. There we go. Yeah. It's about 15 thousandths on behind the edge. So, pretty darn good geometry. It's going to slice. It's going to push through things pretty well. You can get right up on behind the edge because of this choil. Yeah. Let's move on to checking the hardware real fast. T8, T8, T8 all around. Everything is T8, which is a nice touch, but I will say, I want to mention, these T8s are not, like, tooled very deeply. Like, I don't feel like I'm in there that well. It doesn't seem to be a problem, and they're T8s, so you got extra reliability and durability there than you would on, like, if they were T6s. I wouldn't like if they were T6s. But, yeah, it's not the deepest tooling on these screws, which is kind of interesting. Weight, 4.77 ounces. Can you see that? Yes, you can. It's not an ounce an inch. It's not super ultralight or anything like that. But, I mean, it's full titanium. It is milled out in there, as you can see. But there's a whole contraption for the lock, and it's not the lightest knife in the world. I mean, I've carried 8-ounce knives with no problem, so it doesn't bother me, mind you, but yeah, if you're looking for weight or ratios, yeah, this is not for you, unfortunately. And I think that brings us to a conclusion on our spec. So let's move into the actual talking about this knife. Severn. Winterblade Co. Severn. It says it right there and there. Normally I wouldn't like that, but it does fit the aesthetic, right? This sort of futuristic, but at the same time, like 90s retro futuristic, kind of like what they thought the future was going to look like, kind of thing. Kind of has that vibe. And that's pretty much everything that Brian Winters does at Winterblade Co. So you like the aesthetic or you don't. That's what you got. I think it does add something, that everything fits this aesthetic and then also has these innovative locks and stuff. So I appreciate it. I'm not 100% sure how I feel in the full execution of it. I'll talk more about that once we get to like ergos and stuff, because that's where it becomes more relevant. But until then, looking at the blade, it is sterile. It is very nice. This is something that more companies need to do. This is not Damascus. This is M390. But it's got a laser like a laser etch on it. If companies can do this, like I think this was made by Bestech, do this more. As much as I like just a simple, assuming it doesn't add like $100 to the cost, if you can do this for like in-house or whatever for $25, $30, $40 more, yes. This is really nice. It gives you the strength and the potential of a mono steel, but with a very unique look. Play around with that, maybe. We have an opening hole aperture for the primary method of manipulating the knife. There is also a thumb stud, though it is one-sided. It is in there. It's kind of like the only magnet on the knife. This pin is magnetic. It sits there. It holds there. You can push it right out the other side and swap it around to the other side if you want. However, I don't want it on the reverse flick, because the reverse flick from the opening hole aperture is really good. And the thumb flick off of this is better than off of the actual slot in the blade. You've got a modified sheep's foot, though slightly. It's got just a tiny bit of curve to it. Your plunge grind is insanely good. It is back up here and very hard to see on the camera because of the way the finish is. Stop pin in opening position is there. Stop pin in closed position hits there. And what it is I'd actually thought it was that cylinder like right there, but it's actually back there as far as I can tell. Or not. Yeah, that's it. It stops. It's actually what sits on the back end of the tang of the blade, which you can see right there. And it also hits there. Same thing, same place. As far as I can tell, as long as I'm not being completely daft, which is entirely possible. So, blade, good. Definitely good there. Handles, also good. I like the anodization. I like this particular color of green. I really do. I like that the pocket clip has the same lasering. It looks good. It does. And despite this pocket clip being wide and everything, it's got pretty good flex and good retention. Decent height too, and because it's kept pretty thin, it's not too bad. Reasonable depth of carry. So yeah, this is a good pocket clip. And yeah, you're going to feel it, but it's flat. It just kind of feels like part of the knife. The knife itself has that flat kind of feel, so this is not causing any problems as far as I'm concerned. Captured pivot with a little bit of, I don't know, something there. Decent-ish blade-to-handle ratio. Could be a little bit better, I guess. Probably could get a little bit more blade in there. It is perfectly centered, and it is without play. And one thing I will say is this thing, I don't know what this lock does for it, but it keeps it very sturdy. Like, I actually had before starting this, I actually backed off the pivot a little bit, and, like, it didn't move. There's nothing. There's some actual play between positions depending on how tight you want it and stuff like that. It did go a little tiny bit off center if it was a little tighter, but it's perfect as it is, so I have no problem. Seems really well done. Seems well thought out and cleverly made. Now, the final thing to talk about is the contraption. This is basically a crossbar style lock meets shark lock. I mean, it's got, instead of springs like a mega springs, the spring is back here. You can see the spring right there. That's what compresses, that spring right there. So it pushes it forward to jam the this little piece of material that these pins are attached to on top of the actual tang, which sits right here in the closed position, and in the open position it slots right underneath that little hook in the blade, which is, let's see, you can see it, pop, there you go. So it just sits there and pushes into the back of it. Should be pretty strong, and like I said, it's basically a fusion of those two, kind of almost straight up shark lock ish, but slightly modified. You have side releases for a crossbar, and you have this, which this is probably my favorite thing on this knife, aside from the etching, and that is a spring-loaded, another spring, tab that, well, when you pull it up like this, it looks a lot more like a shark lock, doesn't it? But it sits basically flush when it's not being pulled on because of the spring loading. And you can, of course, actuate the knife via any of these. And this is really, really intuitive. Like, it looks like it's going to be hard to get to, but it sticks up just enough. It's got just enough depth, like a little bit of wide width right around it in front of it. It's got great jimping on it. Super easy to get. No problem whatsoever. And it pulls up to really give you a good grip and goes. So yeah, I like this. This is a really good, like, this is about as good as you're possibly going to get a spine mounted lock. Let's be honest, because not only is it nearly flush, this jimping actually is like, it provides, like, if I push into this, it actually provides a tiny bit of traction. Not as much if I'm back here, where I'm mostly in front of it, but if I like push directly into it, yeah, I got some actual traction coming off of that. It's super comfortable. It's not in the way of anything. This is how you do that. Great, great little innovation right there. Simple little thing, putting a spring-mounted tab. I actually had thought of it when I first saw the original Demko lock. I'm like, wait, couldn't you just spring-load that thing? And then this guy goes and does it. So apparently he and I have a similar train of thought in that, on that particular matter. That's like, it looks a lot more complicated than it is, but we kind of know what it's doing in there. It's not one of his magnet driven locks or his magnet assisted opening thing or his magnet driven OTF that I'm pretty sure he's working on, that I'm very interested in. But yeah, it works. It's solid. It does not, however, it is basically, you know, a crossbar style lock. So it doesn't provide the greatest of detents, but it is on bearings and it does carry out without much effort whatsoever. Like, that's pretty minimal on my part. Very, very light. But it doesn't have the satisfying heavy detent that some knives have. But you weren't going to get that with this kind of style lock. At least not until someone innovates again and iterates on it again and creates something that somehow has a lock that's even stronger. I will say that occasionally this one does have a little bit of stick on the back of that tang. But it's pretty minimal, and it's not most of the time. So, the only thing I want to talk about is the overall ergos. And I'm going to finish on that note, and unfortunately this one's going to be a little bit of a negative note. That kind of what kills it for me. Like, I don't carry this knife very often, or almost at all. It's cool, and this, like, if he did a factor in this particular setup, I'd get it because it would be interesting with the magnetic driven and all that detent stuff. But the overall ergos of most of his knives, because the factor has a very similar shape, but I don't know. It's just not super for me. It's not ultra ergonomic. It's fine. It's comfortable enough. It's good, but it's not the most ergonomic, comfortable knife in the world. I also am not married to this particular overall shape. You're reasonably comfortable here. The choil looks like it's going to be very uncomfortable considering all the different angles, but as long as you sort of push into this part and pull up, like, right up into here, all the way up, it's pretty reasonably comfortable and definitely usable in this position. I wouldn't want to use it all day, but it's okay. There's a lot to like here, and of course it's very subjective, being the styling, but there's a lot to like here, but I'm not also in love with it to the extent that I was kind of hoping I would be, to be completely honest. That said, I 100% support what he does, and I 100% look forward to things that he's got in the pipeline, because I'm quite interested in possibly getting something other from him. But this one just is sort of mid for me. Like I said, the real selling point was this ano and the finish on the blade. If I couldn't get this particular version, I wouldn't have gotten it. Because it's just not doing enough else, right? It's neat. It's cool. Brian Winters is still a magician. But the ergos aren't my favorite. I don't mind that sort of futuristic aesthetic. I kind of like it a little bit more. Maybe it's just a little bit too tall or something. Maybe if the entire thing was just a little slimmer, I could see that hitting it for me a little bit. So that's just a personal preference thing. But overall, this is a pretty cool knife. And the Severn here is definitely interesting. So I'm going to end things here. Full review of that. Oh, and the clip is reversible for full ambidextrous use because, of course, this lock is very, very ambidextrous, right? So, nice touch. That'll do it for me. I hope that you saw something that you liked, or you heard something that you liked, or I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I'm going to stop before I break into song. You don't want me to break into the song. No one wants me to break into song. Ever. Never. No. Okay, so I'm going to do that and end it here. Say, comment, like, subscribe, etc., etc. Hopefully you continue having a good day, or start having a good day, whatever you want. Maybe if you want to have a bad day, you can have a bad day. Who knows? But I'm done, so I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.